Welcome once again to our Friday Spotlight program here on KSJE. I'm Scott Michlin, and joining me in our visual radio studio is Tennille Taylor. She is the principal second violin with the San Juan Symphony.
Yes.
Good morning. Good
morning.
Afternoon, I should say, and welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me.
This is an exciting week. It's concert week.
It is.
And a pretty cool concert coming up. And full disclosure, I'm on the board of the San Juan Symphony, everybody. But this is a pretty cool concert because we're celebrating one of the greats.
Yeah, Ludwig van Beethoven. He would be 250 this year.
Doesn't look a day over
No, right.
50, I'd say. Yeah.
Born in 1770, and so orchestras all around the world really are celebrating this because, there's a lot of great composers out there, but Beethoven is one who, even most people on the street
Right.
know at least one of his little motives, da 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 da, or something.
Something, right.
Yeah, and so he is definitely one of the most famous, and just because of his writing style, I think he appeals to most people. Like, he's very listenable. I don't think I've ever met anyone that says, oh, I just don't like Beethoven.
Who would say such a thing?
I don't know.
Almost
Exactly.
blasphemy.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, he's very catchy. So.
And even, I think, if folks don't know maybe what Beethoven wrote during his lifetime, they probably, when they hear a piece of his music, they immediately recognize it because it's been used so much,
right.
whether it's in advertising or just in pop culture or what have you.
Definitely.
As you mentioned,
Yes.
those tunes just readily come to mind. You're like, oh, I know that song. Oh,
Right.
And that's Beethoven, probably.
Right,
So,
right.
there you
and
go.
so that's there's kind of two schools of thought on it this year. So there's some people who are like, let's celebrate him and this 250 years that he's like still popular. And then there's this whole other school that's like, let's look to the future and find the new Beethovens of today. And so there's some orchestras that are like, we're not playing any Beethoven this year, and instead we're giving him a rest, and we're going to play only other stuff. So
Interesting.
Right. I respect that too.
Sure.
It's like trying to find the next Stradivarius, and the same as trying to find the next Beethoven. So I get it.
Right.
But I really love Beethoven, so I think he should be played as much as possible.
I agree with you, and I think the audiences do too. They love Beethoven,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And so, again, we have concerts this weekend in Farmington and Durango.
Yes.
We have heard already that and we're talking earlier in the week, but the Durango concert's already sold out.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if folks, Durango listeners, if you want to see this concert and hear this concert, you need to come to Farmington
Yes,
if you don't have a ticket.
And you have to come on Saturday night to Farmington because Sunday you won't.
Yeah, you can't see it.
You won't
can't
be able
in.
to get a ticket.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But there are tickets available in Farmington, and so that is a good deal for our Durango friends to come down and spend maybe the afternoon, evening in Farmington, make a night of it, and come to the concert. There's plenty of great seats at the concert hall.
Absolutely.
And so, again, we will put up some of the information there, but again, 7:30 here at San Juan College Henderson Fine Arts Center. On February 22nd, that's tomorrow night already.
Yes.
And come on down.
And you can come an hour early for a pre-concert talk with the maestro, and he'll give a lot of background information about what you're going to hear, and I believe the composer of the new world premiere piece will also be at that pre-concert talk probably. So you'll get to hear a lot about what you're going to hear, and it helps kind of guide your listening through the concert.
That's true, because there's always a lot to talk about with Beethoven for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then you mentioned this other piece that we'll be hearing,
Yes.
this world premiere, and so talk to me a little bit about that, because that's kind of an exciting thing too, that this actual composer is going to be here to hear his piece performed on
For
stage.
the very first time,
right?
Yeah. David Biedenbender has been commissioned by the symphony and by Thomas Heuser to write a piece for us, and I think this is kind of that other school of thought I was talking about with Beethoven is to find new up and coming composers and great composers who, Beethoven, even in his day, there was people who didn't totally respect it and didn't love it right away. It took some time, and so it's the same thing with a lot of these modern day composers and getting the word out and getting their style of music heard, and so. This is a very unique experience because so often, especially in the classical world, we're playing music by people who are gone.
Right.
And so it's really cool to be able to play something where the composer is there and says, no, play it like this. No, switch it and do it like this. Ooh, I like this better. Let's change it. Because it's the first time he's had a live orchestra in front of him playing it too.
Right.
So it's really fun. We've done a couple over the years, and I find it very exciting. It's like magical, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of folks may think that when you talk about the symphony and symphonic music and things like that, that is music that's maybe been written hundreds of years ago, and it really isn't relevant anymore. And
right.
I know I'm saying all these things that make your eyes get really big, but that there are still modern composers that are writing symphonic music and
right.
orchestras who are performing it, like this weekend.
Yes, definitely. And I think the world now like is kind of leading more into classical music is highly used in theater, like in movies and stuff.
Movie soundtracks, for sure, of course.
And that's right. Like kind of where the occupation is going for modern composers, and so a lot of them kind of use that movie sounding influence. But it's very exciting to see that and know that it is not a dead art and people are still doing it. It's just a little different.
Right.
Than
so the symphony has commissioned this piece, right?
Yeah.
This is from the San Juan Symphony.
Yeah.
Which again is exciting for our growing symphony. I think those of us that love it, are involved with it,
and like have been for a long time.
like to see us kind of branching out and being able to do some of these cool things that we haven't always been able to maybe afford to do in the past. And
That's true.
And I don't think we can afford to do it every year, but when we can, we do, and it's great. So, do you know what kind of the idea was with this commission piece? What did we ask the composer to do?
I know, though, from my part, that there are quotes of Beethoven 3 in it, which we're also playing on the concert.
Aha.
So there are little quotations of motives from the Third Symphony that appear that you'll recognize if you listen close.
Okay.
They're kind of buried though, but
interesting.
It's sophisticated like that, but it's very. I've just heard like the MIDI file, the
right.
Electronic track of it.
Yeah.
And it does have kind of the feeling of movie music. There's some.
These grand orchestrations and things maybe that you think about when you're watching a movie and the background music.
Those meditative sections where there's like these wavy kind of patterns in the background. But it's beautiful. It's really cool.
Well, neat.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like
it's going to be fun to listen to.
And again, the idea here is we are celebrating Beethoven. That's the whole theme of the concert, Beethoven at 250. And so to be able to maybe kind of link old and new.
Yeah.
Which is what you've been talking about with us. So that's exciting. And so Beethoven's Third Symphony. Yes. Talk to me a little bit about that. And we have a little sample to play here in just a moment.
Yeah, so it's titled the Eroica, which is heroic. It was originally, Beethoven originally wrote it for Napoleon. And later, when Napoleon ended up not being such a good guy.
Napoleon, right?
And he literally scratched Napoleon's name off the music like so much. There's a hole in the paper. Like, wow! It's scratched all the way through. You can see it in.
He might have been a little angry.
He was definitely angry.
Yeah.
And so it's a really interesting piece. I mean, it's like a lot of Beethoven, where Beethoven doesn't really write straight melodies as much as he uses tiny little motives. And each of those little motives is what he develops on. So, like in the Fifth Symphony, dun 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 dun.
Right.
It's the same kind of thing. He uses this motive of a chord, and bum beam bum 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 beam bum, and just takes it and runs with it. And that's what the whole movement is developed on, really. And so he's able to take these tiny little things. It's just genius, and writes. I don't know. The first movement's like 13 minutes long, probably, and it's a chord.
There you go.
It's really a great piece of music, and I think it's very listenable. If you've never been to a classical music concert, I think this is definitely one that can suck you in because of Beethoven's use of the motives. It's very catchy, and so they'll get stuck in your head, and it'll be a good little earworm all day long. You'll just be humming it and singing it, and I think that's one of the big appeals of Beethoven.
Nice. Let's give a listen.
Yeah, it's great.
Beethoven's Third Symphony.
Yeah, the first movement.
Okay. We've been listening to a little bit of Beethoven's Third Symphony. It'll be featured this weekend at the San Juan Symphony. Tennille Taylor is my guest for our Friday Spotlight program here this noon hour on Friday. Again, thank you for being here and just listening to that. It's definitely sounds like Beethoven.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
You tapping your toes and humming along.
Definitely.
And all those different things. And now there's another piece on this concert, too, which maybe isn't heard quite so often, that is another Beethoven piece. Right. And talk to me a little bit about this one. And part of your job, too, is you work with our side-by-side students, because I'm on the board of the symphony. And so there'll be these younger musicians performing along with you all on stage this weekend, right?
Yeah, so we're performing Beethoven's Leonore Overture No. 3, which is one of, I think, 4 overtures that Beethoven wrote. It was originally written for the Fidelio opera, and he just kept writing more overtures for it. So it's maybe kind of one of the less popular of his overtures, but we've chosen it as the side-by-side piece this year, and so the side-by-side is local students, Durango, Farmington, kind of the whole region. They audition with excerpts from the piece we're going to be playing. So back around Thanksgiving time, they were submitting these playing auditions, with sections of the Beethoven Leonore, and then they were selected to play with us. And so they start practicing right away because the music is difficult, and the students definitely have to be at a level that they can show, a lot of dynamic contrast. They can do all the different bow strokes required. Beethoven's pretty technical, and so it's not just lay your bow on the string and go back and forth. So the students have to be pretty good.
Right.
So we have 15 kids this year. I think 9 violins, and then a couple violas, and 3 cellos, and a bass. And so they get to share a stand. That's why it's called side by side.
Right.
So we have
sitting right next to.
Yeah, so we're sharing the stand with the student.
And this is something the symphony has done for a number of years.
Oh,
I mean, forever, it seems like, to us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for a long time.
I would say, I don't know, 13, 14 years,
maybe,
probably?
I'm right there with you.
It's been a long time.
And for the kids, for these students, it's going to be very exciting to be able to be on stage because they're already love playing their instrument and performing, and here they are with the symphony and all these other professional musicians surrounding them on stage performing some of these really cool pieces of music.
Right, and many of them don't have a symphonic experience at school. So a lot of them have only played in a string orchestra. So this is one of the few times in their life that they get to have the full percussion and brass and winds supporting them, and lots of string players.
And so instead of maybe, 5, 6 people, now they have 60?
Well, yeah.
Or something like that?
Their high school orchestras are pretty big, 30 or 40. But
maybe limited in the instruments, right? And now you have the whole symphony behind them. So.
And just way more sound. Everyone's playing a full-size instrument and, nicer instruments, so there's just a lot more sound.
A lot going on. So, we have a little sample of this piece as well to play. Yeah. And so, again, anything to listen for here? Or, again, we don't hear this very often, right? As opposed to some of the other Beethovens that we hear, we recognize right away. Right. This one maybe is a little more rare.
Yeah. A few of his other overtures are definitely more popular, but it's definitely worth the listen. It's a great piece, and the students are really latching onto it and getting excited about it. Lots of really nice wind and brass solos throughout it too. It's very exciting, and I think it's great that the side-by-side piece is this same concert as this world premiere, because the students will actually get to be there at rehearsal the very first time we play the world premiere piece too, and so they'll get to witness what it's like,
hearing the
straight
piece
out of the gate,
right?
To hear the new commission.
And that's why we can't play that, because no one's played it yet.
No,
so
it's a secret.
But we can play this one.
Yes,
okay.
We can.
Here we go.
Leonore.
Once again, we're playing a little bit of Beethoven as part of the San Juan Symphony's celebration of Beethoven's 250th birthday in 2020.
Yeah.
And Tennille Taylor is my guest, and so that was a little bit of a piece that we don't hear very often, right?
True.
Of Beethoven's.
I've never played it.
This will be a first for you.
Yeah, first for me and first for all the students playing with us, too.
Exactly, from side by side.
Yeah.
And so, as you mentioned, these are students from around the region, Farmington, Durango, and others.
Yeah, I think this year they're all Farmington, Durango.
Okay.
In the past, we've had some Bayfield and and others, but I think we're all Farmington, Durango this time. Yeah.
Very exciting. Well, it's part of the side by side part of the concert. And again, this concert is sold out in Durango on this coming Sunday, everybody. So if you don't have tickets yet, you need to get tickets, and you can only get tickets for the Farmington concert because it's sold out in Durango. So make plans to be in Farmington on Saturday night, 7:30. The concert will start at 6:30. Meister Hauser will be doing his pre-concert talk for free beforehand here in the Henderson Fine Arts Center at San Juan College. And it's when you get a little bit of kind of background, more about the music, more about Beethoven, and more about this other composer who's going to be with us, who's done this new piece that we'll be hearing for the first time.
Right.
The world premiere.
And also the San Juan Symphony, we have open rehearsals. They're not closed. So if you're interested in coming and hearing this piece literally the first time it's ever played, you can come to rehearsal, to one of the open rehearsals. So 6 to 9:30 on Friday night.
Okay.
That's
tonight.
Yeah, in Henderson Hall. Or tomorrow afternoon, so Saturday 2 to 4:30. Is our dress rehearsal, but the first listen with the composer there will be tonight.
Okay.
Between 6 and 9:30 sometime.
Okay.
And so those rehearsals are open and welcome. And actually, if you have children, it's a great time because you don't have to be so quiet during a rehearsal. You know, it's okay to whisper to your child and say, "Oh, listen, look, that's the French horn," or whatever, because you're not disturbing anyone around you.
Right.
You know,
it's not an official performance, I guess, right? Mm-hmm.
So as long as you're not being so noisy that the orchestra can hear you, you can point and talk, and you can move around to different seats to be able to see the different instruments of the orchestra, which I think is really fun. And you get to hear the orchestra mess up and start and stop, and so I always encourage people who can come to rehearsal and then come to the concert and see the final product. That it is really cool.
The fine tuning a little bit as you hear it. So.
The fine tuning.
So are you excited? Are you nervous? How do you feel at concert week? I mean, you've been doing this for a while, and again, you are a pretty professional player yourself, of course, and you're a teacher, and so
not nervous, just excited. Like, it's always just really fun, and playing big classic works like Beethoven are just exciting because it's literally something that people have been listening to for 250 years. So it's this, or I guess not that long because he wasn't 0 when he wrote it, but
pretty close.
It's almost like looking back in time, and I always try to kind of imagine what it would be like to hear it for the first time. And so maybe these people who this is their first time symphony experience, I can't imagine how magical that will be to hear Beethoven for the first time, like Very it cool. was then. So I don't get nervous. I just get really excited.
Okay.
It's great.
Well, we're excited with you, so we're looking forward to it.
I hope to see everyone at the concert.
That's true. Well, Tennille, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
To give us a little preview of the concert this weekend. Again, Saturday night here in Farmington. Tickets still available, everybody.
Yep.
Sunday afternoon in Durango. Tickets are sold out, so if you don't already have your ticket, you're out of luck. Make plans to come to Farmington on Saturday.
Yes.
That's the plan. San Juan Symphony. That's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tennille Taylor, my guest from the San Juan Symphony on our Friday Spotlight program. And this is KSJE.